On this episode of What's Going On with Shipping, the motor vessel Wanhai 503 is on fire and abandoned off the coast of India. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. So I came into the office today to do a video on this, the Allianz report on safety and shipping review, talking about how safe ships are at sea. And then we have this image come in of an abandoned container ship off the west coast of India. We're going to take a look at this, break it down for you, and discuss what is happening right now and the efforts being done to save the crew. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be alerted about new videos as they come. This is an image from the Indian Coast Guard. Indian Coast Guard has been really busy, but they are on scene. Aircraft are already there. They have dropped air-droppable life rafts to the vessel, with 4 Indian Coast Guard vessels being diverted for the rescue. The ship was en route. The ship was sailing via Port Klang, the Strait of Malacca, Colombo, and then heading up to Nhava Sheva on a regular scheduled route. We'll take a look at that in a minute. As of now, about 18 of the 22 members of the crew have been rescued. 4 are missing. Let's take a look at some of the imagery taken by the Indian Coast Guard. So this image captures the fire that's taking place up forward on the vessel. You can see the massive fire that has erupted in the container stacks. You'll note here, this little orange thing is the portside lifeboat. It has been launched from its cradle. You'll also see another orange thing here in the lower right part of the screen. That looks like an air-droppable life raft. So they mentioned that they had dropped it. The crew is in the process of abandoning ship, obviously, at this point, getting off the vessel, because this is a conflagration that's a little bit too big for the ship's crew to handle. This image gives you a little bit better view of the fire. And 2 things stand out for me on this. Number one, you've had a collapse of the stacks here. You can see that the containers have completely collapsed here, but more importantly, you've had a major explosion on this vessel, because containers not have just collapsed, but have actually piled up on top of other parts of the vessel. This image from the bow shows it to you, the inverted evergreen container. Evergreen's always got to get into an accident when it happens. But here you can see the containers blown open. Here you see the doors blown off. This container appears to be an empty one, but you can't really see inside. This is probably a little bit early on, right after the initial explosion, because you don't see all the container stacks here collapse just yet. Here, this image taken from the Indian Coast Guard vessel shows the portside lifeboat is now alongside that other life raft here. One of the things that was noted in the Indian Coast Guard report, a major firefighting and rescue operation is underway following a fire on board the Singapore-flagged container ship vessel MV Wanhai 503, 130 nautical miles northwest of Kochi. The Indian Coast Guard has mobilized multiple assets to assist in dousing the blaze and rescuing the crew. The vessel is still emitting dense smoke, raising fears of secondary explosions. 18 crew members have been rescued. 4 remain missing. Search operations are ongoing. Singapore Flag Administration and D&G Shipping have been notified. Environmental protection measures are being initiated. You can see part of a slick, it seems to be forming here, coming out from a midship. This could be from chemicals and material spilling from the containers and may not represent a rupture of the hull yet. All efforts are being made to stabilize the vessel and ensure the safety of remaining crew members and the marine environment. The situation remains critical. This image shows the vessel from astern. You'll notice the starboard lifeboat is still here in the cradle, but here the fire is emanating. The vessel has no way on. There's no propulsion underway at this moment, but fire is sweeping across the length of the vessel. And the fear here is that that fire will spread to the neighboring container stacks. Understand, a 22-person crew, massive explosion on board, 4 crew members missing. You only have 18 crew members left. Firefighting would be very dangerous to do in this case. You're not going to be able to get a lot of water onto that fire. You'll be working literally below the stacks here, coming from below, trying to get water onto that fire. There is little that can be done to provide any sort of fire suppression by the crew on board. Plus, there's obviously fear of more secondary explosions. Let's head over to marine traffic and break down this vessel, where exactly it is in its schedule. So here we are on the big global map. Here is Wanhai 503. You can see it flashing right there. Ship had come out from Port Klang through the Malacca Straits. It stopped here at Colombo. Colombo's a major terminal. And now the ship was heading up the west coast of India for its next port of call for Navasheva was its next scheduled route. Zoom in here a little bit more. Let's see what we can see here. Here's the vessel. No other vessels appear to be in the area as of yet. There could be Indian Coast Guard vessels, but they will not be showing their AIS all the time as they are government vessels. Here's the track for the past 30 days. A vessel was coming out of India, actually making that run through Singapore, up into China, over to Taiwan, and then round back. Here's the information on the vessel. 2005 container ship under the flag of Singapore, 4,252 TEU, 268.8 meters, so roughly around 900 feet. A good medium size, the small size container ship. Wanhai is the 11th largest container liner in the world. It is based in Taiwan. They represent a very kind of smaller end of the major container liners. They have a very nondescript naming system for their ships, just Wanhai and a ship number. Here is the ownership, all through Wanhai entirely. The ship was built by Hyundai Heavy Industries in Korea. Classified through DNV Group, and the P&I insurance is through the Britannia Steamship Insurance Association, one of the big 12 P&I groups. Here's the schedule of the ship since April. It does basically a southeastern to southern Asia route through the area, pretty routine sailing. Here you can see the ship had left Colombo heading to Navasheva, then was going to go to Port Klang, Singapore, over to Taiwan, back to Hong Kong, China, Singapore, and around again. We have some follow-up video by the Indian Coast Guard, and it's not looking good for Wanhai 503. Here's the imagery that we have, a flyover. You'll see some Indian coast vessels are on scene there. The fire has moved aft of the initial fire point. It has encumbered other containers in the stack, and you're seeing here explosions and flaring by the fire throughout the vessel. Not sure if this video was before or after that video, but here you see that stack fire has just increased in volume. The amount of fire here is going to be substantial. The fact that that crew abandoned ship was the smartest move. This is going to take a massive salvage operation to save. I'll pause the image here for a second because it appears the vessel now is taking a slight list to port potentially, but it also appears to be a bit lower in the water. So there is a potential for flooding going on. Now it's hard to see from this angle whether or not we're actually having that, but this fire is going to encumber all the containers up on the main deck. It'll start encumbering the containers down below deck and potentially reach the after house and potentially the engine room. So prospects for Wanhai 503 are not looking good. Keep you up to date on any further information. Fires on board container ships have been happening quite frequently. We see them a lot. We've been fortunate that a lot of them are able to get under control quickly because of assets that are on scene that can come there. But what we see in this video is Wanhai 503 on fire, no rescue assets on scene to assist in the firefighting. And probably that fire is going to be very difficult to get under control unless they can bring some on-scene assets to start putting some wet stuff on that red stuff. You're not going to fight that fire on board the ship. You're going to have to do this with an exterior style of attack and try to get that fire out. However, that fire is going to spread not just into the contents of those containers, but below deck to the containers that are below the main deck and potentially to the aft house, superstructure, and potentially in the engine room. And if fire gets in that engine room, this ship's going to be a goner because it's going to be hard to stop flooding of the vessel, and the ship's going to start losing buoyancy. And you could have a potential disaster with 4,000 TEU, 20-foot equivalent units heading into the drink off the coast of India. We'll keep you up to date on this as other information comes in. If you can, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, share it across social media, and if you can, support the page. How do you do that? You hit the super thanks button down below or head on over to Patreon and become a monthly, yearly subscriber. Until our next video, Sal, signing.